Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 656 based on novel. So let's start. Judy was unwilling as he helplessly left. As his figure gradually disappeared, there were only 5 people left outside the sea storm. Gu Dao looked at the sea storm and slowly said, "You all leave now. The rumbling on the last day will even require my full effort to resist. Even when it finally opens, you all won't be able to enter the immemorial god realm. I just noticed this several days ago." Xian Luo and company silently pondered and then bowed at Gu Dao. After seeing Judu and them leave, they knew that this opening of the immemorial god realm was not something they could participate in. Just as they were about to leave, Wang Lin got up and walked toward Xian Luo. "Teacher?" Xian Luo looked up at Wang Lin and smiled. "Teacher is about to reincarnate soon. Disciple is about to enter the immemorial god realm. If I come out safely, I'll go protect teacher's reincarnation. If I don't, teacher can still reincarnate safely with this." Wang Lin looked at Xian Luo and reached at the void. A jade appeared, and he respectfully handed it to Xian Luo. Xian Luo held the jade. He didn't immediately check it but looked at Wang Lin. After a long time, he spoke softly. "Protect yourself." Wang Lin nodded. Xian Luo closed his eyes. When he opened them once more, he turned into a ray of light along with Song Qian and the ancient Ji Grand Empyrean. In a flash, they disappeared without a trace. At this moment, outside the sea storm, only Wang Lin and Gu Dao remained. Time slowly passed. In a flash, it was dusk. There was only half an hour before the immemorial god realm's opening, and the rumbles from the sea storm reached their peak. The vortex was rotating so rapidly that at first glance, it looked stationary. However, when it looked like this, it meant that it had reached an alarming speed. As the vortex rotated, the sea water seemed to be absorbed by the vortex. The sea water left the sea storm and was pulled toward the vortex. The vortex was like a black hole that devoured everything. It constantly absorbed large amounts of sea water, causing the sea storm to shrink. Gu Dao looked at the sea storm and said, "When all the sea water is sucked in, the immemorial god realm will." His voice still clearly entered Wang Lin's ears through the rumbling. "I'm entering the immemorial god realm to resurrect my wife." "You? What are going in there for?" Wang Lin watched the vortex rapidly devour the sea water. It wouldn't be long before the sea storm disappeared completely. For an answer, Gu Dao turned toward Wang Lin. "After I obtained the ancient ancestors' memories, there was a question that I needed to help him answer. I have waited for this day for a long time, and your arrival was an opportunity for me to find this answer." "The answer?" Wang Lin muttered. "If I find this answer, perhaps I can leave the ancient clan and go anywhere I want to go." There was a flash of complicated feelings in Gu Dao's eyes. "You have the head of the celestial ancestor, so you should have seen that the celestial ancestor died in peace. There was no pain. The ancient ancestor also died. I can feel this death in his memory." He walked toward death with hesitation, disbelief, and determination. The two of them paid the price of death to pursue the answer and at the same time lay down the roots of heritage. "Perhaps it was to protect them," Gu Dao muttered. Their surroundings rumbled endlessly and the vortex continued to devour until less than half the sea storm remained. The sea water had completely disappeared into the vortex, its whereabouts unknown. It didn't take long for all the sea water to disappear. Gu Dao withdrew his gaze from Wang Lin and looked toward the shrinking sea storm as he said in a hoarse voice, "The ancient ancestor and the celestial ancestor found an unimaginable secret. They hesitated, doubted, and in the end, in order to pursue the truth, they walked toward death. Now I'm going to search for the answer." Wang Lin silently pondered. Half an hour of time gradually passed. When all the sea water was devoured by the vortex, the thunderous rumbles continued to echo. The 9 huge pillars that were no longer surrounded by the sea emitted a dazzling, 9-colored light. The gate to the immemorial god realm formed by the 9 pillars slowly opened. The moment it opened, a ripple spread out from the gate, and its speed was unimaginable. It instantly swept across the vast basin toward the ancient clan and celestial clan. When the ripple swept past the vast basin, the wind stopped. Song Qian and the others, who were flying away, stopped in the air. In the ancient clan, whether it was mortals or cultivators, all living things stopped when the ripple swept by. Fire, rivers, and everything stopped at this moment. In the land of the ancient Ji, there was rain falling, and at this moment, even the rain stopped in the air. In the celestial clan, it was the same. Judu's group of 3, Gemini, the celestial emperor, and the countless cultivators, mortals, and celestial beasts all stopped moving. The 5 elements of the world, all laws of the world, everything stopped completely at this moment. The entire immortal astral continent became silent. Only the gate formed by the 9 pillars at the center of the vast basin slowly opened. Once it fully opened, 9 colored lights shined from within, revealing a passage to somewhere unknown. This time is indeed very different from the past, Gu Dao muttered. The ripple could stop everything in the world below the heaven-trampling realm. Gu Dao's eyes lit up and he didn't hesitate at all. He rushed into the 9-colored gate before Wang Lin and disappeared inside. At this moment, Wang Lin was the only person left outside the gate. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, he walked toward the gate. He entered the gate step by step. After Wang Lin entered the immemorial God realm, everything on the immortal astral continent returned to normal. The strange thing was that almost no one had detected that moment when everything stopped. Cultivators couldn't, ancient clan members couldn't, and not even the Grand Empyreans had noticed that they had lost about 10 breaths of time. This 10 breaths of time was lost from the heaven and earth, from the 5 elements, from every mortal, from every cultivator, from every ancient clan member, and from the 8 Grand Empyreans. It was as if this short period of time was absorbed by a strange force and disappeared into the gate of the immemorial God realm. When the entire immemorial astral continent recovered, the 9 pillars in the vast basin shined brightly. The light obscured everything and then disappeared without a trace. When the 9 pillars disappeared, the gate to the immemorial God realm also disappeared. When the gate at the center of the basin disappeared, the vortex that remained rumbled endlessly. The endless sea that had disappeared into the vortex scattered back into the basin. The sea water fell as thunderous rumbles echoed. Several hours later, the vast basin turned back into a sea. The sea was endless and the waves crashed into each other. The rumbles disappeared and were replaced by the sounds of the sea. Everything returned to normal. The celestial clan was like this, and the ancient clan was like this well. Everything recovered to normal, including in the 2 figures inside an elegant courtyard in Blackstone City of the ancient clan. The house was not big and the interior was relatively simple, but it was heartwarming. On the bed lied an old woman. Her face was filled with wrinkles, but one could see how beautiful she was when she was young. Beside the old woman was another woman. She wore white and one couldn't see her appearance, only her hair could be seen hanging in front of her face. Her back was very beautiful, but there was a sense of sadness in this beauty. It would make people who saw her love and pity her. It was like a fish in water, you couldn't see her tears, but when she looked at you from under the water, perhaps you could taste the tears if you were to scoop up some of the water. The old woman was reluctant to part and softly said, "Dong Mai, one. I'm going to accompany a Nunt Chang. Don't try. When I leave you, we'll be the only one left. You and I are different. I'm just an ordinary person and my lifespan is limited. But you have the ancient bloodline and can cultivate. You. Take care of yourself." She was Song Ji. Song Ji was only an ordinary member of the ancient clan, so 500 years was the limit of her lifespan. The old woman looked at the girl that had grown up with her and muttered, "I know there is a story in you. I've seen you look into the sky in a daze and cry many times. I even remember that when I told you about what happened at the ancient Dao Imperial City and the story of Wang Lin and Li Muwen, you would force yourself to smile. Dong Mai. Promise me that if you can't forget, don't make yourself feel bad." She would always remember when she first said the name, Wang Lin, to Dong Mai, the startled and emotional expression Dong Mai had. She also remembered that 500 years ago, when Wang Lin had brought her back, he not only told her the story of Li Muwen, but also of a woman named Li Qian Mai. Reincarnated person. Dong Mai and Li Qianmai, are they the same person? The old woman didn't say this, but looked at the beautiful woman before her as she slowly closed her eyes. 1. Changed from Sister Dong Mai. What was the immemorial God realm? This was the question that almost every cultivator on the immortal astral continent had. Even Grand Empyreans didn't know what kind of existence the immemorial God realm was or where it came from. Although a lot of people had entered the immemorial God realm, they couldn't tell what kind of place it was. Wang Lin looked around. The sky was red. There were no stars, sun, or moon, but there was a gentle light. The earth was circular. Here, his divine sense was limited and could not cover the entire continent. He could only see the mountain ranges nearby and the long trenches. Walking on the earth, Wang Lin silently pondered. His eyes were filled with confusion and familiarity as he silently walked forward. Wang Lin stopped at a trench and examined it. It was completely straight, as if created by the strike of a sword. Faint waves of black gas were rising from the trench. They slowly disappeared after rising into the air. From here, the depths of the trench were dark, as if there was nothing there. Wang Lin silently pondered for a bit and then stepped forward. He crossed the giant trench and walked into the distance. Time slowly passed. After an unknown amount of time, Wang Lin saw even more trenches and mountain ranges. The trenches all looked similar. They were straight, as if created by a sword slash. Circular earth, Wang Lin murmured as his eyes lit up and he flew into the sky. As he flew higher and higher, the outline of the earth seemed to shrink. When Wang Lin was at the top, he looked down at the earth below and the sense of familiarity became even stronger. This circular earth and deep trenches were arranged in a neat order. Combined together, all of this looked like a compass. A huge compass. The trenches were the scales and the mountain ranges naturally formed ancient runes. Compass. A compass without a pointer? Rather, the earth is the compass. But it is not complete, half of it is missing. Wang Lin looked at the earth and saw that half of it seemed illusory. While he silently pondered, his gaze swept by the earth and stopped at the center of the compass. There was a mountain that pierced into the clouds. 7-colored snow was falling on top of it. Looking at the mountain, Wang Lin revealed a complicated expression. In the ancient Sha ancestral temple, while he was going through this 3 soul splits, he had seen this mysterious mountain. This was where he saw the figure holding a body and questioning the world. However, now that he looked at the 7-colored snowy mountain, he didn't see that figure, but another familiar figure was sitting there, waiting for him. This person looked old but not old and was covered in a 7-colored light. His face was filled with excitement. He was the person that was like the Allseer, like the 7-colored celestial sovereign, like the ancient Tao imperial teacher. Behind this figure, behind this mountain, there was a bridge. One end was connected to the compass and the other was connected to the sky, forming a large arc. The bridge looked almost exactly the same as the heaven-trampling bridges. At the point where it connected to the sky, Wang Lin could vaguely see an illusion behind the blood-colored sky. There seemed to be 2 figures inside the illusion, but they were blurry, so it was impossible to see them clearly. This scene was the same as the illusion he had seen after the 9th bridge. "You're finally here." The Allseer looked at Wang Lin and laughed. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze from the bridge and looked at the Allseer. He didn't speak and slowly walked over. A moment later, he was standing on the mountain where the 7-colored snow was falling. He looked at the surrounding 7-colored snow and sighed. This old man has waited a long time for this day. All of this a dream of yours, but whenever you come here, a distortion appears in your dream. The Allseer laughed as he waved his hands. As he waved, the circular continent began to rumble. As it rumbled, dense, black gas erupted from the many trenches. The black gas flew into the sky and rushed toward this mountain. In an instant, the black gas covered the blood-colored sky. Then the black gas gathered behind the Allseer to form a giant figure. The figure was extremely tall and seemed to prop the world up. From afar, this figure was wearing a black robe that covered up his face, but Wang Lin could still recognize that this figure was the same as the Allseer before him. "Wang Lin, even though you were a heaven-trampling cultivator in your previous life, this old man is a supreme existence here at the boundary compass. On the entire immortal astral continent, this is the only place I can devour and fuse with you. Here, your dream will distort, and from now on, I'll be you. A roar came from the huge figure, echoing in all directions. The previous life, Wang Lin looked at the Allseer and the figure behind the Allseer. His expression was calm. It looks like you still haven't remembered everything. Forget it. Before you die, this old man will let you understand everything. The Allseer stood up and took a step back into the huge figure. The black hood that was covering his face moved, revealing his demonic face. The immortal astral continent doesn't exist, it is something created by your dream. In fact, this is just a void that is part of the defying Earth realm. The void, Wang Lin silently pondered. You don't believe me? The you that hasn't recovered your memories is extremely pitiful before this old man. Wang Lin, let this old man tell you, the universe consists of 4 major realms. This realm is the defying Earth realm. Each realm has a treasure, and the treasure of the defying Earth realm is the boundary compass, the only void extinction treasure. This immemorial God realm is the boundary compass. The eyes of the huge figure of the Allseer were filled with excitement. As for you, in your previous life, you were the strongest person in the world and you could have done anything you wanted. However, for a woman, you borrowed the boundary compass from the Guardian and used it to revive your wife. You used your self-created dream Tao to spread your true self to create reincarnation. You wanted to make your dream to resurrect your wife a reality and reverse the change of the heavens and earth. Even this old man was very shocked by your crazed action and ideas. The Allseer looked at Wang Lin as his words echoed. Wang Lin closed his eyes and then opened them a moment later. He looked at the huge figure and slowly said, so it's like this. So, who exactly are you? The Allseer gloomily said, this old man is the guardian of the boundary compass. Back then, you took it from my hands. I have a disciple, you should know him. His name is Mo Zi. Wang Lin silently pondered. The Allseer's eyes lit up as he waved his right hand and a portion of the black gas on his body separated into the sky to form a black vortex. As the black vortex rotated, different scenes appeared inside it. If you still don't believe me, you can see for yourself. You can determine for yourself whether this is real or fake. Inside the black vortex, Wang Lin saw another version of himself holding a body and roaring at the sky. He saw a version of himself from the past that failed to resurrect Li Muwen. The sorrowful expression, the angry roar, and the crazed eyes. Even if heaven wants you to die, I'll take you back. I'll break the heavens, shatter the earth. I'll sink into reincarnation and find all of you to bring you back forever. If I can't succeed, then I, Wang Lin, will never awaken. I'll be immersed in reincarnation with you for eternity. As Wang Lin looked at the images in the vortex, the memories of the past appeared in his mind. It was as if they had always existed but he had just forgotten. Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment before he looked at the Allseer and slowly said, in order to make me come here, you told me I can resurrect Li Muwen here. Is that true or was it a lie? It can be true, it can be a lie. The boundary compass is the only void extinction treasure in the defying Earth realm. It can change everything, but you won't have the opportunity. The Allseer saw how calm Wang Lin was and that there was no sign of the slightest distortion. This caused the Allseer to hesitate. When he heard Wang Lin's words, he didn't act recklessly. He vaguely felt like there was something wrong. What bridge is that? Wang Lin raised his hand and pointed at the bridge that connected the heavens and earth behind the Allseer's huge figure. The boundary compass is Heaven Trampling Bridge. It is also the true body of the Heaven Trampling Bridge that all life in the defying Earth realm feels once their cultivation level reaches a certain point. The feeling that something bad was going to happen became even more clear for the Allseer, but he couldn't think of a reason why. Wang Lin smiled as looked at the Allseer and calmly said, you're hesitating and wondering why there is no distortion happening like when a sleeping person is about to wake up. The Allseer's expression suddenly changed and his huge body retreated a few steps. He stared at Wang Lin, and after taking a closer look, his eyes were filled with disbelief. Something is wrong. Even if you remember your past life, once you enter the boundary compass, you will awaken from the dream Tao. The last several times, you always awakened at this step. This time, it will not be any different. Wang Lin looked at the Allseer and slowly said, "You're not the guardian, but the missing one." The moment he said this, the Allseer suddenly felt his heart drop. I was hesitant about all of this until I saw the mountain with the 7-colored snow for the second time and the figure holding the body when I was in the ancient Sha ancestral temple. I felt like something was wrong, but at the same time, a crazy idea was born. Wang Lin didn't look at the Allseer, but at the bridge behind the Allseer. I was afraid of the failure that I saw, afraid that I had failed to resurrect Wana. I was afraid that everything was just a previous life where I met Wana and did my best to resurrect her but failed, so I immersed myself in the dream Tao to change reincarnation until my dream came true. However, was it really a previous life? I didn't think so. I was afraid it was all true, so I had to verify it, I had to change it. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. Back then, inside the heaven-defying bead, I heard a voice. That voice kept telling me that I was missing one, missing one. I still didn't know what was missing. In the cave world, I once saw a scene. Celestial Emperor Bai Fan pointed at the sky and went crazy. Then I learned that he inadvertently realized that this world was just a cave. He couldn't accept it and went crazy. Like esteemed scattered spirit, but he didn't have scattered spirit's courage or perseverance. That scene gave me inspiration and also an even deeper sense of fear. And in the cave world, when I attempted to reach the third step, the void gate appeared. And the voice that came from behind the gate. Later, I found that the voice was very similar to the voice in the heaven-defying bead that was telling me that something was missing. This lasted until I had the crazy idea, until I found the skull of the Ji Cheong and found the divine sense left there. After Wang Lin spoke, he raised his right hand and the skull of the Ji Cheong appeared. There were characters imprinted on this skull that emitted a cold light and killing intent. I have the answer to everything. Wang Lin looked at the skull in his hand and revealed a complicated expression. The missing one inside the heaven-defying bead is you. You're not the so-called guardian, but the treasure spirit of the boundary compass. Wang Lin looked up. His eyes were bright. This gaze caused the Allseer to tremble. Originally, I was very confused about resurrecting Li Muwen. I didn't even know how to resurrect her until you appeared at the deserted mountain in the ancient Tao. Your words were remembered by me, and with my experience, I thought of a method when I saw the roaring figure inside the ancient Sha ancestral temple. When I thought of this and implemented this method, I was hesitant. Was my existence real or a dream? Did the immortal astral continent truly exist? Until I saw this skull, Wang Lin muttered. You. What method did you think of? The black gas around the Allseer continued to churn. He looked at how calm Wang Lin was, and listening to Wang Lin's calm words made his heart fill with fear. He found that everything he knew was very different from now. He suddenly felt like a calamity was going to befall him when he heard Wang Lin talking about the crazy idea and method. Wang Lin calmly looked at the Allseer. My method is very simple. I know flowing time, you should know this. After my slaughter avatar was complete, I used my flowing time spell with all power to reverse time and send him back into the past. I sent him countless years into the past to imitate my life. He used his dream Tao to divinate and calculate everything that would happen in my life. I gave him autonomy, I gave the avatar freedom. After doing this, I suddenly realized that everything had become clear. The so-called previous life was the slaughter avatar that I sent into the past. You say that the immortal astral continent is an illusion. I can tell you now that the immortal astral continent is not a dream, not an illusion. I, Wang Lin, didn't reincarnate. I was born on planet Suzaku and reached the present step. I'm me. The reason you and some other people think this is all a dream is because my slaughter avatar successfully changed something in the past. I don't know what my slaughter avatar did in the past or where he is now, but when I saw the skull of the Ji Cheong, I saw his divine sense. I saw the method to awaken Li Muwen that I tasked him with finding. The divine sense clearly told me that in the past, the slaughter avatar reversed the world and borrowed a compass. This compass was the key to resurrect Wana. He placed the compass on the immortal astral continent and entered it several times. However, every time he entered, it soon dissipated. Until he came to the immemorial God realm during a reincarnation. Before he dissipated, he completed the task I left him and blasted open the compass. This caused the compass to become incomplete and also released the treasure spirit inside the compass. That's you. Wang Lin looked at the Allseer. When the Allseer heard this, his body trembled violently and his eyes filled with disbelief and indescribable fear. Impossible, this is impossible. This is my method, to release you and use you, who is the essence of the boundary compass, to resurrect my wife. Reincarnation is right there. Once you understand it thoroughly, you can move it as you will. If you don't understand it, you call it the previous life. It is a circle and it is always there. You can see it, you can feel it. Like Moses' words, like red butterflies' memories, like when you recognized the slaughter avatar at the deserted mountain in the ancient Tao. The ancient ancestor and celestial ancestor could not see through reincarnation. They thought everything was false and died seeking Tao. This is reincarnation. After understanding reincarnation, you see that it is just a circle. You can casually walk to any point and grab it. Wang Lin shook his head and calmly looked at the Allseer. You have been scheming against me, but you didn't know that in the end, I was scheming against you. Like searching for something only to suddenly find it when you turn around. Impossible, it can't be this way. I personally saw your previous life. I personally saw you borrow my compass. I personally saw you enter the dream Tao with the compass. I also personally saw you reincarnate many times and reach this point before dissipating in the compass. The Allseer seemed to have gone mad. He had schemed for a lifetime, but in the end, he still miscalculated. When he was released from the compass, he thought that it was an accident, but he didn't expect it to be part of Wang Lin's plan. Impossible, I don't believe it, the Allseer roared as his body made of black gas covered the sky. He rushed toward Wang Lin as if he wanted to devour him. Just because you saw it, that doesn't mean it's true. Because you can't see through reincarnation. It is right there, if you understand it, but if you don't, then you will never understand it. Wang Lin shook his head. The Allseer's voice echoed inside the immemorial God realm with the seven-colored snowy mountain as the center. Its huge body made of black fog rushed toward Wang Lin with unwillingness and madness. He was unwilling to let this be. He had waited for so long, waited for countless reincarnations, until this day arrived, but he didn't expect everything to turn out like this. Wang Lin had deceived everyone. Not even the Allseer knew that everything was not Wang Lin's dream, but the slaughter avatar's Tao. The Allseer's heart was filled with an absurd feeling, and this feeling was enough to make him go mad. He was the treasure soul of the boundary compass, and he had seen Wang Lin come here again and dissipate here in every reincarnation. Until the time he personally saw Wang Lin blast open the compass and then dissipate. This allowed him, the Allseer, to walk out, and at that moment, he laughed with ecstasy. He didn't know his own origin. In his memory, when he first awakened countless years ago, he was already the treasure spirit of the boundary compass. He also didn't know who had created the boundary compass. He had no memory and was confused for a long time until he saw Wang Lin borrow the compass. He saw Wang Lin go through reincarnation again and again until he was released. The moment he was released, he was filled with an unspeakable sense of joy. He felt like he was about to be free, and he didn't want to continue to exist inside the compass like a captive. That's why he wanted to take over Wang Lin. From his view, all life on the immortal astral continent was fake and only Wang Lin was real. From his analysis, once he succeeded in taking Wang Lin over, he would have heaven-trampling cultivation and true freedom. He could no longer be trapped inside the compass as the treasure spirit, even though he felt that aside from being the treasure spirit, he was also the guardian of this compass. But no matter what, everything he had done was for freedom. He had even decided that once he gained his freedom and succeeded in taking over Wang Lin's body, he was going to find his origin, find who had made him into a treasure spirit. From his view, after he succeeded in taking over Wang Lin's body, the boundary compass would become his supreme treasure. He was the treasure spirit, and no one knew its strength better than him. Aside from its power, its most important use was allowing one to leave the defying Earth realm. As for the origin of the boundary compass, he had some ideas, but they were blurry. He didn't know who had created it, nor why he was inside it. He only knew that once he gained his freedom, he would search for an answer. However, at this moment, all of his plans collapsed because of Wang Lin's words. He had no hope. He only felt despair and anger, along with fear and reluctance. He rushed frantically at Wang Lin and the black fog howled loudly. As he closed in on Wang Lin, he saw the faint smile on Wang Lin's face. Wang Lin raised his right hand as he looked at the black fog rushing toward him and gently waved. When I mastered reincarnation, I had already reached heaven trampling. As Wang Lin spoke calmly, he waved his sleeve. The black fog before him sizzled and began to rapidly dissipate. I'm unwilling to let this be. Wang Lin, I'm unwilling to let this be. The Allseer let out a miserable cry. As the black gas scattered, the remaining black gas condensed into a large head. This head looked very different from the Allseer. He was middle-aged and between his eyebrows was a star pattern that was flashing. There was a vague shadow of a crane struggling inside the star pattern. All of this lasted for an instant before scattering. The middle-aged man's head scattered and all the remaining black gas suddenly turned into a giant black crane. The black crane let out a hiss at the sky and rushed toward Wang Lin once more. The moment he closed in, there was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He took a step forward and raised his right hand. As the black crane closed in, his hand grabbed the crane's neck. The black crane continued to struggle. As it howled, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His right hand's grip tightened, resulting in a thunderous bang that made the entire immemorial god realm tremble and the sky to become a blur. The black crane completely shattered. The Allseer's divine sense was in chaos, and when the black crane disintegrated, so did the Allseer. Right as the last bit of his divine sense was going to be destroyed, he seemed to remember something about the past, some things he thought did not exist in his memory. Morning Dao Realm. My hometown, the Allseer muttered as his divine sense dissipated completely and he completely died. His crane body turned into countless strands of black gas. Among the black gas, there was an obvious strand of grey gas. Wang Lin watched as the grey gas rushed toward the bridge that was connected to the sky and disappeared into the illusion behind the bridge. This grey gas didn't carry the Allseer's aura. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, but he was not surprised at all, as if he already knew the grey gas existed. He only took a glance and ignored it. His right hand reached out and gripped toward the black gas. As he gripped, the black gas suddenly gathered and formed a fist-sized ball of gas in Wang Lin's palm. The ball of gas was not black, but nine-colored. It was very beautiful. One realm essence. When Wang Lin looked at the ball of gas in his hand, his eyes were no longer calm, but filled with excitement. He took a deep breath and waved his left hand. A coffin appeared before him. There was a woman sleeping inside the coffin. She was not an absolute beauty, but she was gentle. Her eyes were closed and she remained motionless. Wana. I once said that even if heaven wants you to die, I'll take you back. Wang Lin murmured as he touched the woman's face. Tears flowed down his eyes and landed on her face. The tears flowed along her cheek into the corner of her mouth. I have succeeded. Wana, after thousands of years, I have succeeded. Wang Lin's expression was gentle as he gently pressed the nine-colored ball of gas between the eyebrows of the woman. He silently watched as the ball of gas entered her body, and time seemed to become eternal. However, there was a rare sign of tension on his face. He was very nervous. He bit his lower lip and looked at the woman before him. Wang Lin caressed Li Muwen's hair and muttered, Wana, come back alive. Come back alive. Open your eyes and look at me. The encounter outside the Sea of Devils seemed to have set the fate of 3 lives. Don't forget, don't abandon. That soft cry for help and the eyes filled with panic caused Wang Lin, who had hidden underground because he had noticed something was wrong, to raise his head. If he hadn't looked up, perhaps everything would have been different. In the Sea of Devils, when he opened his eyes and saw that weak yet tough figure standing at the entrance of the cave, his heart trembled for a moment. He didn't know why he had said, "Don't be afraid, I'll take you to kill," but he knew at that moment that those words had come out naturally. The delicate figure that had used her heart blood to engrave the dragon formation onto the scale, the pale face that made his heart ache. But at that time, he was being hunted by people whose hatred for him ran as deep as the ocean. He could only tell himself to forget all the suffering she had gone through. The scene in the sky cloud sect, when he heard the sound of the zither and saw the bleakness of the figure inside the pavilion, Wang Lin knew he could not forget. My left hand is a short karma in the sea of devils, and my right hand is hundreds of years of cultivation. Wan, open your eyes, wake up. And there is also Ping. He will also awaken, you will like that child. Wang Lin's tears flowed as he muttered. Time did not wait for me. You. When will you take me away? Wan, I'm Wang Lin. We are husband and wife, let me take you away. Even more tears appeared in Wang Lin's eyes as he looked at Li Muwen. He had waited for several thousand years for this day. The warmth in the valley, the figure he saw when he looked back, and the scenes of the past seemed to become eternal in Wang Lin's mind. He could not forget, he didn't want to forget, he was unwilling to forget. He watched Li Muwen turn old and gradually age as she slowly marched to the end of her life. The moment she closed her eyes, Wang Lin's heart felt pain like never before, as if he had gone mad. He could not let Li Muwen leave like this, he was going to steal her back. After losing it, he would get it back even if it meant he had to touch the sealed memory again and walk into the abyss of sorrow. He felt no regret. Wan, wake up. Wan, Wang Lin looked at the sleeping woman and his tears continued to flow. I subverted the entire world only to correct your reflection. I reversed the entire world only to make it so the heavens could not prevent your eyes from opening. I blasted open the endless void to open a path, to allow you to find your way home. Wan, I'm your husband. I want you to open your eyes and wake up. Wang Lin looked up at the sky and roared. A long time had passed, but the woman inside the coffin still had her eyes closed. Wang Lin was unable to accept this, he could not accept this. Don't cry. The moment Wang Lin roared at the sky, a warm, jade-like hand slowly rose up and touched his face. Wang Lin's entire body trembled. He lowered his head to see Li Muwen's eyelashes trembling as she opened her eyes. Those eyes contained the gentleness that hadn't changed for thousands of years and a sense of tenderness that would make one's heart ache. Immemorial God Realm, at the center of the circular continent, stood the seven-colored snowy mountain, and two figures were standing on it. They were Wang Lin and Li Muwen. They stood there, looking at the bridge not far away, and softly spoke to each other. Wang Lin's gaze was gentle as he looked at Li Muwen. He had waited for this for a long time, and now, after thousands of years, it had finally happened. The seven-colored snow that fell no longer had a sorrowful feeling. It was completely different from the scene Wang Lin had seen inside the ancestral temple. Wang Lin softly said, "It is a long story. Wan, once we leave, we will find an ordinary place, then I'll spend a lifetime telling you the story. And Pinga and his wife, Jing Yi. You will definitely love them." Li Muwen nodded lightly. She looked at the man before her, and he looked the same as before, only there was hidden trace of time on his face. She could imagine what kinds of hardships and what kind of price Wang Lin had paid in order to awaken her. Now let me take you to trample the heavens together. As Wang Lin looked up at the bridge not far away, his eyes shined the brightest they ever had in thousands of years. There was no sorrow in his eyes. He pulled Li Muwen's hand. After she awakened, he had never let go. He was afraid that once he let go, he would never find her again. Their two figures gradually walked onto the heaven-trampling bridge, toward the end of the bridge that was connected to the illusion. Li Muwen also held Wang Lin's hand and didn't want to let go for the rest of her life. She felt the warmth coming from his hand that made her heart feel warmth and peace that crossed thousands of years. Their figures gradually arrived at the end of the bridge. Just as they were about to enter, Wang Lin stopped and waved his left hand at the ground. This wave caused 3 rays of light to fly toward the earth. The first ray of light was half a compass. It flew toward the earth and caused the circular earth to rumble. The half-illusory part of the earth became real and the countless trenches and mountains shined brightly. After it was complete, it began to activate. The second ray of light was a giant pointer. It rapidly descended and fused with the seven-colored snowy mountain. The pointer swept across the earth. A powerful aura spread out from the earth and rumbled across the world. The third ray of light was a bead, a white bead, the heaven-defying bead. It floated in the world and emitted a soft light. Its appearance caused the entire place, the boundary compass, to become complete. Wang Lin softly said, "Withdraw." The moment he spoke, the earth rumbled and shrank rapidly, leaving behind large amount of fog. A moment later, the continent disappeared, the seven-colored snowy mountain disappeared, everything in the world except the bridge Wang Lin and Li Muwen were on disappeared. Everything was gone, it had all turned into a palm-sized compass. The compass hummed and floated above Wang Lin's left hand and continued to rotate. It shrank once more, and what appeared in Wang Lin's hand was the heaven-defying bead. The heaven-defying bead was the most critical part of the boundary compass, and it looked no different when the boundary compass was complete. Holding the bead, Wang Lin looked back. He could not see the sky or the earth, only the void. At the end of the void, he saw a figure. It was Jiyu Dao. Jiyu Dao stared at all of this dumbfoundedly. He saw the only bridge that existed in the void and the two figures on the bridge. "This is the answer," Jiyu Dao muttered, revealing a complicated expression. Wang Lin smiled faintly and waved his right hand. A vortex appeared behind Jiyu Dao, and inside the vortex was the immortal astral continent. Jiyu Dao silently pondered for a moment before he bowed at Wang Lin and disappeared into the vortex. After he left, Wang Lin pulled Li Muwen, who had also seen the figure but asked no questions, toward the end of the bridge and disappeared into the illusion. After Wang Lin departed, the bridge turned into specks of light and disappeared into the void here. This place was a paradise-like garden. In the distance, there was a pavilion, and there was a stone table and two stone curries. On the stone chair next to the table sat someone with their back to Wang Lin. This person was wearing a grey robe and had grey hair, but Wang Lin was unable to see his appearance. There was someone standing behind this person like a servant. Wang Lin pulled Li Muwen out of the void and arrived at this garden-like place. When Wang Lin entered with Li Muwen, the servant turned around. He looked at Wang Lin and smiled. Wang Lin looked at this servant, the servant looked a bit old, but he still immediately recognized this person. Wang Lin slowly said, "Ling Qianhu. I am and also I'm not." The servant shook his head but didn't speak. The person who had spoken was the grey-robed man who had his back to Wang Lin. He turned around and smiled at Wang Lin. The grey-robed man looked at Wang Lin with a smile and said, "This must be Madame Wang, indeed a good match for fellow cultivator Wang." Li Muwen remained calm and didn't speak. She stood beside Wang Lin and calmly looked at the grey-robed man. Wang Lin looked at the grey-robed man and suddenly smiled. He pulled Li Muwen toward the opposite side of the old man and he waved his sleeve. An overlapping shadow appeared on the last remaining stone chair, turning it into two. He sat down together with Li Muwen. On the table between him and the grey-robed man was a board. The black and white pieces on it were scattered. It was obviously a bad situation. "Your avatar left after playing half the game. I've waited for so many years, and you've finally arrived. Let us continue." The grey-robed man smiled as he picked up a black piece and placed it on the board. "You are the guardian?" Wang Lin glanced at the board and looked at the grey-robed man. The grey-robed man looked up and smiled, "I'm and so are you. The Allseer is the treasure spirit, and I left a strand of divine sense on him. That was the grey-robed Allseer you saw." The grey-robed man looked exactly the same as the Allseer. However, the feeling he gave off was different. As he had said, he was the grey-robed Allseer. Just like how the seven-colored realm was originally created by your avatar. It was later found by the treasured spirit and used by it. I was also very curious, but now I see that reincarnation is so simple to you. Those imitation heaven-defying beads in the seven-colored realm were created by your slaughter avatar when tried to find out what the one missing thing was. Those Tao scriptures were all just your life experiences. Walk the path of the true Tao. The true in that line refers to one's true self in reincarnation. The meaning of this line is for all life forms to search for their true self so they can walk out of reincarnation. The grey-robed man revealed admiration in his eyes as he spoke. I don't have a name. If I'm the first in the defying earth realm to reach heaven trampling, then you are the second. Other than you and me, no other life form could trample the heavens to arrive at this place. Aside from that avatar of yours, the grey-robed man said with a smile. Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment. He still hadn't let go of Li Muwen's hand as he looked at the grey-robed man and asked, did you create the boundary compass? Did you seal the treasure spirit inside? The fourth step, heaven trampling, is the limit of the defying earth realm, but in the vast universe of the four realms, there are some who have reached the fifth step. Or the sixth step. Before I came here, this board already existed. Let's play, it's your turn, the grey-robed man whispered. Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment and then smiled. He raised his right hand. There was already a white bead in his hand. He held this white piece and put it on the board. The moment the white piece landed, the board suddenly changed. The white and black pieces all began to move as if they were trying to divinate something. When Li Muwen looked over, all the black and white pieces had fused into only two pieces. One black, one white. The white piece was on Wang Lin's side and the black piece was on the grey-robed man's side. Do you understand? Wang Lin looked up at the grey-robed man. The grey-robed man pondered for a moment before he let out a sigh and nodded. I understand. Wang Lin smiled as he stood up and pulled Li Muwen. He didn't look back at the two people or the board, but stepped forward with Li Muwen, and the two of them disappeared from this place. After he disappeared, the white piece on the board slowly became illusory and eventually disappeared, as if it had followed Wang Lin. Wang Lin left with Li Muwen. On the immortal astral continent, no one other than Gu Dao knew what had happened inside the immemorial god realm. Wang Lin sat down on a calm mountain in the ancient clan. Li Muwen sat behind him and gently looked at him. Wang Lin remained here for several days. He seemed to be waiting for something. Li Muwen didn't know what, and she didn't want to know. As long as she could be beside Wang Lin, she was already satisfied. However, there was still a question in her heart, but she wanted to wait for Wang Lin to awaken up to ask. Another 3 days passed. At the dusk of this day, while the sky was dim, Wang Lin opened his eyes and looked at the sky. At this moment, a man wearing black with long, black hair appeared outside the immortal astral continent. His body was filled with slaughter and destruction. He stood outside the immortal astral continent and his indifferent eyes fell on the ancient clan, where he saw someone looking at him. His appearance was the same as Wang Lin's. After pondering for a moment, the black-robed man rushed into the immortal astral continent. He turned into a ray of black light and flew toward the ancient clan. He rushed toward the mountain Wang Lin was on and arrived before him. When he saw Li Muwen, his indifferent gaze became gentle. You didn't have to come. Wang Lin looked at his slaughter avatar. The black-robed man silently pondered, then he raised his hand to break a strand of his black hair. When he loosened his hand, the black hair fluttered and gradually turned white. The moment the strand of white hair appeared, Wang Lin raised his right hand and a strand of white hair appeared as well. However, the moment this strand of white hair appeared, it gradually dissipated. The man in black looked at Li Muwen once more. He closed his eyes as he became black gas and erased his own consciousness to fuse with Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin absorbed all the black gas and the slaughter avatar appeared in his body once more. He looked at Li Muwen and suddenly understood why the slaughter avatar had chosen to dissipate his own consciousness and fuse with him after gaining independence. For me, it was 500 years, for him, it was countless reincarnations. What are you looking at me for? Li Muwen smiled. Wang Lin suddenly asked, did you see him? Who? Li Muwen was startled. She hadn't seen anything just now. Nothing. Let us leave. Don't you want to see Wang Ping and his wife? Let us go to a place where no one knows us and begin an ordinary life. Wang Lin stood up and smiled. Not going to cultivate. Li Muwen blinked and stood up next to Wang Lin. Cultivation is in the heart. After finding my true self, everywhere is the same. Wang Lin smiled as he held Li Muwen. The two of them turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the dusk. Wang Lin, after the game ended, you said, "Did you understand?" "I don't really understand it." "What is there to understand?" Li Muwen's gentle voice echoed. The two of them gradually flew away and disappeared into the horizon. They didn't see that at this moment, in the corner of Blackstone City, not far away from this mountain, a woman in white had her back to the lights of countless homes. As she looked at the ray of light flying away in the sky, tears flowed down the corner of her eyes. The tears flowed across her cheek and dripped onto her clothes. "Forget it, let's forget everything." The fish in the previous life also watched the bird fade away inside the water, the woman murmured. Her eyes were hazy. The fish in the water seemed to be crying, but the tears melted in the water, so the bird could not see them. In the previous life, we were a bird and a fish, but in this life, we are not. A soft voice suddenly appeared behind the woman. The woman's delicate body suddenly trembled. She suddenly looked back and saw the figure smiling at her. Conclusion. Some of my opinions about Renegade Immortal. This is postscript from the author Jen, not the translator. Renegade Immortal has been over for nearly half a month. I kept saying there would be a postscript but never felt like it. It's now almost New Year's, so I decided to sort out my thoughts and write something. I wrote Renegade Immortal for 31 months, nearly 1,000 days. Looking back, it was quite emotional. I still remember the first month of Renegade Immortal, where I had just a bit more than 10,000 people who put it on their bookshelves and barely any monthly vote, but Jen didn't give up. Instead, I drank beer with red eyes, telling myself that even if my story was trash, I was going to write the whole damn story. I went all out, right? At that time, Jen was a newbie. I was confused about the future and confused about life. I always looked at the sky with many thoughts and ideals, but in the end, I could only watch my beard grow more and more. Only helplessness remained. I didn't want to give up, I wanted to persist. This is what I told myself in June 2.5 years ago. The theme of Renegade Immortal was defying. The struggle was also a kind of defying that I pursued step by step. There was a lot of hardship and confusion. I remember the swearing, I remember the rebuke, I remember the vicious voice, I remember a lot, but I also remember the comforting words from you all and all those heartwarming things. There were several times when I looked at the familiar names in the book reviews, I looked at the more than 300 pledge owners, top donors, and I looked at the surge in monthly votes as tears of joy fell. This was all real. Thank you all, thank you Renegade Immortal readers, and thank you donors and the moderators for Renegade Immortal for the last 2.5 years. It can be said that as I wrote Renegade Immortal, I grew as well. A mental growth, following Wang Lin's Tao was as if I was writing my own Tao. Life and death, karma, reincarnation, true self. Their domains were outlined, but as the novel progressed, I pursued it slowly with Wang Lin. People's lives are less than 100 years, only their ideas can continue forever. Ideas are the symbols of humans, I have always understood this as such. I was very reluctant to let it end after 2.5 years. A few days after, I felt uncomfortable, like a bow that has been drawn for 2.5 years had suddenly loosened. I'm still coughing and my chest is stuffy. In one's life, there will be many 2.5 year periods, but I know that I was very satisfied with these 2.5 years because I had you all accompanying me. I grew a lot during Renegade Immortal, from being new at the start and becoming proficient at the end. However, I understand that I still have flaws, like I'm not good with numbers and also making errors. Many fellow cultivators know this. I would often write 3 layers and later it turns into 4 layers. I'm very depressed about it, it was my memory that deceived me. There are also many shortcomings, like this and that, but I have written them all down, so I'll try to avoid them in the new novel. There are also the broken sentences that make it awkward for people to read, but I'm afraid this can't be changed. And I remember my own lack of vocabulary, such as a sneer, eyes lit up, a cold snort, a step forward, and so on were used too often, and I feel a little ashamed. A novel with more than 6 million characters makes it very difficult to achieve perfection, so I hope you all won't mind. However, I also have strong points, a lot of strong points, haha. At least I felt like the characters were pretty good. Not every supporting character, but I felt like a vast majority of them were still successful. Like Sichu, Ching Shui, Red Butterfly, Ju Ru, Big Head, and so on. This is the part that I'm very happy about. There are too many strong points, but I won't say them all to praise myself. You all understand. In general, the shortcomings and strong points coexist. Renegade Immortal is far from perfect, but it is my current limit. In the new book, I'll use new methods to make myself rise up. It seems I have used rise up a lot too. There are a lot of holes in Renegade Immortal, and in the end, many are still unfilled. I even dug a few more at the end, and after considering it all, I ultimately decided to leave it as is. I always felt that a novel needs to have some regrets. If not in characters, then in the plot. In truth, some of the answers can be found in the text if you think about it. For example, the missing one in the heaven-defying bead. In the end, the answer was given. It was the Allseer. For example, if there is a so-called white bead, there must be a black bead. This matter with the black and white beads was given an answer in the chessboard in the last chapter. For example, how Joss flames were mentioned as poisonous. I gave an explanation with the Dao Wang clan, only I didn't say it directly. There were many, such as the Donglin sect, the answer was in the text. However, there are indeed holes I have no conclusions for. I would like to leave these stories for the Wang Lin that accompanied Li Qianmai to solve. Or the hidden mysteries in the cave world, I decided to leave them for the Wang Lin that stayed with Mu Bingmai to find. Similarly, I also left 2 questions for you fellow cultivators. The first is Wang Lin. Wang Lin exists around Li Muwen, Li Qianmai, and Mu Bingmai, but which one is the real him? I think a vast majority of you fellow cultivators would all agree that he is with Li Muwen. But thinking about it carefully, this perhaps might not be the right answer. Perhaps he really is with Li Muwen, or perhaps he is not. Of course, if he wasn't with Li Muwen, then his life and death struggle would seem a bit pointless. At least I can't tell them apart. My logic tells me that the Wang Lin that left with Li Muwen would be the real one, but when I think about Li Qianmei's story and Mu Bingmei's story, I become confused. Which one is the real him? I want to bring this confusion to you fellow cultivators. If you were Wang Lin, which of the 3 women would you choose to stay with? This answer is different for everyone. What I want is for the fellow cultivators that like Li Qianmai to think that the Wang Lin that stayed with Li Qianmai is the real Wang Lin. By the same token, I want the fellow cultivators who liked Mu Bingmai to think that the Wang Lin that stayed in the cave that gave birth to him and raised him is the real Wang Lin. I also hope that the fellow cultivators that like Li Muwen believe without hesitation that the one that stayed with her is the real Wang Lin. There is no answer, I don't have one. Perhaps only Wang Lin, only he knows the answer to this question without an answer. This was the first complete work that Jen finished and the first Shenxia. I feel that Shenxia novels have no end. I don't want to write such a joke, like Wang Lin became the strongest person in the universe. I want to write about a person that is of flesh and blood. A man that is willing to defy the heavens because of the defying will in this heart. Cultivation has no end, that's why I wrote that there is a 4th step, a 5th step, a 6th step. Perhaps there are more, it is a long road. This represents the pursuit and persistence of people. It represents the idea of climbing up and hoping. Such progress is eternal and will continue forever. Renegade Immortal is only a part of Wang Lin's life, the earliest part of his life. He will have more life, but that part of his life will not be in the book, but in our imaginations. I hope that you all will suddenly think about it when bored, inspired, or zoned out. This would be a joyous thing. The sky is very large. Looking up at the night sky, I know that Wang Lin is only a story, but his defying will is something I'm lacking. That's why I wrote something like this, to tell myself, to remind myself, and to make myself look forward. I'm in the net, everyone is here. Like the chess game at the end. The question and answer. Do you understand? I understand. However, Wang Lin understands, the Guardian understands, but I still don't understand. Life is like a dream. This is Ramble 1, there will be 2. Perhaps there will be a postscript for other characters, but I don't guarantee anything. However, as long as I get the inspiration, I'll write it down. For example, Situ, Qing Shui, Red Butterfly, Ju Yi, 13, Ju Ru, etc. Despite the fact that my time on the internet has lessened, I'm still with everyone. Renegade Immortal novel is end here. Thank you for your support, friends. Next novel will be start tomorrow.